get ready with me this morning while we talk about how to ask your hairstylist for the right haircut for your thin, fine hair. I would love to be aesthetic and be drinking a Starbucks right now, but the reality is McDonald's is closer to my house. So McDonald's coffee. So we're going to talk today about how to ask your hairstylist for my haircut, how I describe my haircut to my hairstylist when I asked for it the first time, and just in general how you can communicate what you want without necessarily knowing all the technical terms of how to speak to a hairstylist. But I also thought it would be more interesting if I was getting ready while we had this conversation instead of me just sitting here talking to the camera. So the first thing I'm gonna go do is I'm gonna go wash my hair. I usually shower before bed, but I like to have my hair washed in the morning. So I usually just leave my hair. I don't want to sleep in wet hair and I don't want to blow dry it before bed because we all know our hair would just already be slightly greasy in the morning if we washed it before bed. So this is my day 3 hair. It's pretty dirty, but I'm gonna go wash it and then I will come back. All right, we're starting off with some sunscreen. This is the Madagascar Centella Water Fit Sun Serum SPF 50. I really like this because it's a super nice moisturizer. It feels like a super hydrating moisturizing cream, but it's got the SPF 50 and it doesn't leave any white cast. It just leaves my skin feeling awesome. And then I am going with Thirst Burst Drops by e.l.f. This is how I've been prepping my skin lately before makeup to make sure it is super hydrated and doesn't get cakey and dry throughout the day. So I am not obviously really going to be showing my haircut much. I can show it really quick at the end once I'm finished styling my hair. But my haircut's not even in its best shape right now because I actually haven't had a haircut in almost a year, which I don't recommend, but I have been trimming at my ends myself. But because I lost so much hair about 8 to 10 months ago, and then I was trying to grow it all back, I haven't really gone for a full-on haircut because there really wouldn't have been any point unless I wanted her to really overhaul my haircut, which I didn't. I wanted to let everything grow out. I wanted to let all the short layers that were coming in now grow out. I wanted everything just to grow. So I was just sort of maintaining the ends myself because I am capable of doing that. And not so much worrying about the shape of my haircut. I am going to go for a haircut soon, and so we can do a little follow-up once I have gone for my haircut of what my cut looks like before and after I get it freshly cut. But I will link a video here up in the corner where from a couple years ago when I went and got my haircut, and it's the exact same haircut we're going to talk about today, but my hairdresser actually explains the haircut in that video and you can see her cutting it. So that is, if you're actually looking for the explanation of my haircut from that angle, that's the video for you. This one today is going to be more how did I describe what I wanted so that my hairstylist was able to get me there. So first of all, it's obviously really important to find a hairdresser who understands the hair type. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have the exact same hair type as you. My hairdresser does not have hair like mine. She has thick, crazy, beautiful, curly, wild hair, but she is a cut specialist. She only cuts hair. She doesn't color. She just cuts and does hair extensions, and cutting is her passion. So that made me very comfortable when trying her out for the first time that she was going to just really be a good option for someone who's going to pay particularly close attention to what I want in a haircut. For me, being a professional hairstylist, I'm also typically looking for someone that's going to cut my hair in a way that would be similar to how I would cut my hair. So obviously I also looked at her education background and found that it would be very similar to mine and was an educational background that I understood. That's something that the average person is not going to necessarily do because, you know, you don't really necessarily know the ins and outs of the different educational backgrounds of hairstylists, but I just want to be transparent. That is something that I paid close attention to and that I did look into. Now, let me just say, every time that I have tried to find a new hairdresser, which has been 3 times, because my first 2 hairdressers moved away, and then I had to each time find a new one. This is my 3rd one. I have gone through multiple hairdressers each time, and this is normal. This is not because any of the other hairdressers that I saw ever did a bad job, because they didn't. It just wasn't exactly what I wanted. And it's just a good reminder that sometimes it will take a few tries to get what we want. The one thing I would suggest is, if you are trying out new hairdressers, not to go for a drastic change until you find someone that you really know, love, and trust. So when I sat down in my hairstylist chair, I didn't tell her how I wanted my haircut. Even though I could have, as a professional, I could have said, I want you to do these things with these quadrants of my hair. That's just not advisable, because that might not be how she would approach my hair, and maybe now she's going to try to do that, and then maybe that's not how she works best, and now I'm not getting a good haircut because I've told her how to do her job. So that's not what I do. Even though I am a professional, I don't tell her a specific haircut I want. I don't tell her a technique to use, and nothing like that. I simply sat down and told her what I wanted my haircut to achieve. What I mean by this is, I sat down and I told her that I wanted to take off as little length as possible, because I do get quite a bit of breakage in my ends due to the texture of my hair. So I'm always trying to retain as much of my length as possible, but I am wanting to cut off what is damaged and broken and what truly needs to go. I also let her know that I would like to preserve a decent amount of density at my ends so that they don't look too wispy, but I'm okay with them not being completely thick and blunt either, just to make sure that we're not completely wisping out my ends, because I don't want my hair to look too thin on the end. Then I told her my ultimate goal with my haircut is to create as much texture and volume in my hair as possible, that I'm looking for a shape that I can work with really well when it comes to curling and blowing out my hair, something that will allow me to create a lot of fullness, a lot of movement in my hair, but that will also be a very nice looking shape when I choose to not style my hair at all. I did let her know that my preference is some sort of curtain bang or face framing shape, because I do like quite a bit of my hair to fall out when I put my hair up, and I also feel like it makes my hair look a little thicker. And in my case, I told her I ultimately wasn't necessarily looking to leave looking like I got a new haircut or have a new look. I just wanted my hair to look its best and respond really well to me when I style my hair. So as you can see, what I did is I communicated what I needed my hair to be able to do for me, and I left it up to her to choose how she was going to do that for my hair. So while you can go and watch the video of her cutting my hair and listening to her explain exactly how she does my haircut, there is no guarantee that if your hairstylist follows her instructions exactly, that your hair will be exactly like mine, and that you will be able to achieve the same things that I can achieve, because maybe your hair texture is a little different, maybe your hair density is a little more or a little less. Ultimately, it's better to let your hairstylist know what you want out of your haircut so that she can choose how to achieve that and give you what you want, as opposed to telling her how to cut your hair. Hopefully that makes sense and was helpful. Let me know, of course, as always, in the comments if there are any questions and concerns or anything else about this topic that you would like to know, and I can do my best to answer that. I'm going to style my hair now, and we can have a look at where my haircut is right now. And honestly, I will say my girl does a great job, because even though I haven't had my haircut shaped in almost a year, it still looks fantastic and it still works for me really, really well. So that is a testament to her skills. Okay, so I do have my hair cut from a center part. When she cuts it, we cut it from a center part. That way it is symmetrical when I wear it from the center, but I don't always wear it from the center. However, having it cut from the center part, I can still wear it either way, flip it either side, but I do want it symmetrical when I wear it in the middle. so I do have it cut from the middle. So as you can see, I have curtain bangs. Now, I prefer my curtain bangs long. I have had them shorter, but the length they are right now is my preference, sort of to my jaw. The reason I like my curtain bangs this length is because I do feel like when they're not styled, they still look nice. But when I do style them or when I wear my hair up, they're still short enough to look like a bang. However, when they've been shorter, more like here, when I don't style them, they just look like two heavy chunks of hair sitting. And when they're not styled at this length, I think they look fine. So I prefer to keep them on the longer side. So I do have the curtain bang at the front, and then quite a bit of face framing layers. Now, this will take away density from your hair. As you can see, if you section out the hair from my ears forward, there really isn't any length in any of the hair that is from my ears forward. I have pretty much taken away all the length. Obviously, if all of this hair was as long as the rest of my hair, it would make my hair look a little bit thicker, but I would lose the ability to kind of get this fullness around my face, so I sacrifice density here for fullness here. And then throughout, I have quite a bit of layers. Again, my layers might not be super even right now because I have been trimming at the ends all over my hair and my hair hasn't been cut in over a year, but I do like the layers because when I move my hair around, we get all of this movement, we get all of this texture, and we get all of this volume. And yes, it does make my ends thinner. Of course, my hair would look thicker down here if all of my hair was this length. However, it would also look flatter up here and around my face. So I do sacrifice density in the ends for fullness through the mids and the top. Unfortunately, when you have really fine or thin hair, it is hard to have both, thick on the bottom and fullness at the top. Obviously, you don't want to go so drastic that you lose too much density down here and you look like you have a mullet. If you look back 6 months of videos or so, my hair did almost look like that for a while when so much of my hair was lost because, you know, it's rough when you lose a lot of hair and you don't have a lot of hair because now that just meant even less hair down here. So this side in particular, you can still see it's still recovering. It's not quite as thick as this side. There's still some more hairs that need to grow down and fill this in, but they're getting there. Some of these, they're getting there. They're almost there. It doesn't look as thin anymore, but that's my haircut. It's nothing spectacular. There's no special name for it. It's not like a butterfly cut or a wolf cut. You know, those are just names that people make up for the look that a cut achieves. At the end of the day, my best advice is find a hairstylist you trust. Don't be afraid to shop around for different hairstylists and give them a try until you find the right one. And make sure that you're explaining what you want your hair to do for you and to feel like and what you want to be able to do with your hair, as opposed to telling your hairstylist rather, exactly what haircut you want. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that was helpful. Again, let me know in the comments if there is anything you're still confused about and I can answer those questions for you. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Like and subscribe because it really helps me grow my channel here. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.